do the wrong thing.
So are you shake it off? Do you shake these off?
I shook the other one off just so you could see better, but I'm not gonna disturb them any more than I need to. Does that make sense? It's with most, a good lesson is most animals and most people will leave you alone if you don't disturb them.
How do you get out of here?
I take one mighty leap over the top. I have people clear away so I don't land on anybody on the other side. It takes a lot of practice. We start with the trampoline. No, there's a door right here. Okay, I'm looking for some bee pupae that are the right age so we can watch a bee emerge. I may have to look around a little bit.
Once me and my dad squirted a wasp nest with something.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasps got problems.
Yeah. Here's a good example right here.
And we like pulled the eggs out of the hive.
Yep.
And like a wasp fell on the ground and like.
Yep. If you poison them, they will do that. Now, you see, if you look right here, there's a bee with deformed wings. Can you guys see this bee right here with the wings kind of?
Oh yeah.
This bee right here, see the deformed wings? That's caused by deformed wing virus. That's the #1 problem right there. See the deformed wings? Deformed wing virus. That's the #1 problem for honeybees in the world today. That's our major problem. And the reason we got it. Hey, how you doing? The reason we have deformed wing virus is there's a mite called the varroa mite that was produced from another bee species. And our bees are in the middle of this evolutionary process of learning how to adapt to the varroa mite and these viruses that it transmits. So that right there, since these are Brian's bees right here, it means that Brian's going to get on varroa management as soon as the fair is over, I would imagine. Let me take a look here. I'm seeing some older. I'm surprised we got quite a few beekeepers in the audience today. Well, I'm not finding any of the right age. Now I haven't seen the queen bee yet either. So this is the edge of the brood. Now we're getting back to honey. I can't show you any of the stored pollen. What the bees do with the pollen when they bring it in. Here's a little bit of it right here. I'm going to shake these bees off.
Lance, eat them. Lance.
If you look at the cells at the bottom here, there's some orange cells. They bring the pollen in and they moisten it with a little bit of nectar, and then they pack it in tight with their heads. They pack it in so tight they exclude the air from that pollen. And then it starts an anaerobic fermentation process. Just like, excuse me a second, just like making sauerkraut or fermented pickles, the lactobacillus bacteria then grow in here and make it very acidic, and that preserves that bee bread for later on. Otherwise it would spoil very quickly. The bees use a process very similar to what we use to preserve our food, again using lactobacillus bacteria. Okay, let's take one last look and see if I can see a bee emerging. Oh, these large cells right here that stick out like bullets, those are the cells for the male bees. All these bees are females. The drone bees, the males, grow in a larger cell, and if I see a drone, I'll pick one out for you. The bees don't raise very many drones this time of year. The purpose for drones is that if an other colony is sending out a young virgin queen to be mated, the drones from other colonies will mate with her. The queen then mates with a number of drones in the air in rapid succession, homogenizes all their semen, and then discards 97% of it. And then keeps the remainder of it in a special sac where it remains viable for the rest of her life, up to 5 years. What it means is if a queen mates with 20 drones, what you have in this hive is a family of 20 sister groups, each one having the same mother, the queen, but 20 different fathers. It's like putting together a team, like a basketball team or a baseball team. You want 20 players, each with just the perfect match of traits. So in a bee colony, you have a few sister families that are really good at making honey, a few that are good at making beeswax, a few that are good for fighting viruses. You can get the perfect team and you have a great, fantastic colony. What we use those for is breeder queens. And out of my 1,000 colonies every year, I select the 25 best queens to raise new queens from, and then re-queen all my colonies with the best of those. So every year we do, just like other animal breeders or plant breeders do, we improve the genetics of our bees. Okay, let me take a little look here and see if I can. Oh, here we go. Oh, don't want to trip over that. Okay, if you come around here, you can watch a bee being born right here. Not really born, but emerging. So this bee's been 20 days in this cell right here. You can see at the tip of my hive tool how it's chewing its way out right there. It's sticking its antenna out. The other bees don't help it, but I'm going to assist it a little bit. Right where I'm pointing my hive tool. I'm going to open this up just a little bit so this bee can come out on command right here. Okay, let's gonna do it. Come on, you can come out now. Are you making scary faces or something? There it comes. There we go. All right. That's a new bee starting its life right there. You want to name that bee? Frank. Well, Frank. Actually, Frank is a girl. But so this bee is now going to go through a life of about 35 days on the average this time of year. For the first 3 days, it's a cell cleaner bee. It cleans out the cells inside the hive. For the next 12 days or so, it will be a nurse bee. Those first 3 days, eats lots of the pollen or the bee bread, develops its brood food glands, and for the next 12 days, it produces the jelly that feeds the baby bees, that feeds the queen. After that, it becomes a mid-age bee. The mid-age bees are the ones that make the wax, that build the cells, that clean things up, and guard the hive. And then finally, it becomes a forager bee and starts flying. It only lives for about 12 days, or 12 to 20 days as a forager bee, then it just wears itself out. And the bee's life is over at that point. So it's a relatively brief life. During the winter, when the bees are not rearing brood, they have a different physiology and they live for much longer. They can live for up to 300 or more days during the winter because they don't do much foraging or brood rearing during the winter. They just need to survive until the flowers start blooming again. Okay, so questions.
Will you
Sir,
show us the queen bee?
I will if I can find the queen bee. I haven't seen her yet. Let me take a look through the rest of the combs here. And Brian even made it easy for me because he put a dab of blue paint on her back, which makes her easier to find, but she's not jumping out at me.
And the bees will protect the queen, even if there is smoke.
Yeah, the queen is really rarely found on, unless you don't find her somewhere else, then that's where she usually is, on the outside combs.
How do you know when you're ready to extract the honey out of it?
Okay, on this comb of honey right here, what you would do is you could just shake it like, well, these are all capped. If it's all capped, it's ready. If it's open, you can shake it like this. If the nectar shakes out, it's not ready yet. If it stays inside the comb, then it's ready yet. All the bee books talk about unripe honey. Those are from states that are east of the Rockies. East of the Rockies, they have a phenomenon that we Californians are unfamiliar with. It's called humidity. Okay, it rains, believe it or not, it rains during the summer east of the Rockies, and that humidity makes it hard for the bees to ripen the honey. In California, they pretty much ripen overnight. When I go out to my bee yards on a summer night or a spring night, you can stand downwind, and 4 in the morning, you can hear it roaring in the bee yard and smell downwind the smell of the ripening nectar. Okay, I'm going to look on that last frame just in case that queen is out there.
Whoa, that's a lot of honey.
Yeah, it's a lot of honey. Nope, don't see it. Some beautiful frames of honey here, Brian. This is going to be Bourbon Hill honey. Sold at SPD, right?
Do the bees sometimes squish each other?
No, I'm very careful not to squish the bees. As you notice, as I look here, everything I put together, I make sure the wooden parts don't have any bees together between them, because I don't want to squish any bees as I'm working on them.
Plus, you don't want to throw a banana in.
Okay, on a comb like a fully covered comb. Yeah, this is not very dense. If this were fully covered with bees, there'd be about 2,000 bees on the whole comb. So on this one, we have maybe on the two sides, maybe 1,000. This is about half covered right here.
What's on the bottom too?
This is called one comb. If it's fully covered with bees, it's 2,000. Yeah, easily. A full-size colony has around 40 to 60,000 bees.
Okay. Maybe the queen's on the last comb, the last frame below on the ground.
That could be. I'll take a look in a second.
Remember one time we had a mouse nest